He helped a dirty alien beggar. Then she removed her hood and shocked the galaxy captain. Jake Morrison had seen many strange things during his travels across the galaxy, but the hooded figure sitting in the corner of the spaceport caught his attention, for all the wrong reasons. The creature was small and hunched over with tattered robes that looked like they had not been washed in months. Strange alien symbols were sewn into the fabric and dirt covered every visible surface. The being held out a metal cup with 3-fingered hands that shook slightly. Most people walked past without a second glance. Some even moved to the other side of the corridor to avoid getting too close. Jake watched as a group of Centauri merchants made disgusted faces and hurried away. Something about the scene bothered Jake deeply. His grandmother had always taught him to help those in need, no matter who they were or where they came from. It was a lesson that had stayed with him through his years in the Earth Defense Corps. Jake approached the hooded figure slowly. The being looked up at him with eyes that glowed a soft purple in the shadows of the hood. Jake could not see much of the face, but what he glimpsed looked feminine. "Are you hungry?" Jake asked in basic galactic, the common language used for trade between species. The figure nodded slowly and pointed to a food vendor across the busy spaceport. Jake looked at the prices and winced. Everything was expensive on this frontier station, but he had enough credits. "Come on," Jake said, offering his hand. "Let me buy you something to eat." The alien hesitated for a moment before taking his hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong despite how frail she appeared. Jake led her to the food vendor, where he ordered a basic nutrition pack and a bottle of water. The vendor looked at Jake like he was crazy. "You sure you want to feed that thing, Captain Morrison? It looks diseased." Jake ignored the comment and paid for the food. He handed it to the hooded figure, who clutched it close to her chest. "Thank you," she whispered in perfect English, which surprised Jake. Most aliens struggled with human languages. "You speak English well," Jake commented as they found a quiet corner to sit. "I have studied many languages," the alien replied. Her voice was soft and melodic despite her rough appearance. "Your people fascinate me." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Most aliens find humans either boring or dangerous. What makes us fascinating to you?" The figure was quiet for a moment as she ate small bites of the nutrition pack. "You help strangers without asking for anything in return. Most species in the galaxy do not do this." "Not all humans are like that," Jake admitted. "But my grandmother taught me that kindness is the most important thing we can give to others." "Your grandmother sounds wise," the alien said. "What was her name?" "Betty Morrison." Jake smiled at the memory. "She was a teacher back on Earth before the first contact wars. She always said, that understanding comes before fear if we let it." The hooded figure stopped eating and turned to face Jake fully. "You lost family in the wars." It was not a question, Jake nodded. "My parents and my younger brother, they were on Luna Colony when the Scifi attacked. I am sorry for your loss," the alien said with genuine sadness in her voice. "Many good people died in those conflicts on both sides." Jake studied her carefully. "You sound like you know something about the wars. Were you there?" The alien did not answer directly. Instead, she reached into her robes and pulled out a small device. Jake recognized it as a medical scanner, but it was far more advanced than anything humans had developed. "May I?" she asked, holding up the scanner. Jake nodded, curious about what she was doing. The device beeped softly as it passed over him. "You have an old injury to your left shoulder," the alien observed, "and your heart shows signs of stress from spending too much time in artificial gravity." "How could you know all that from a simple scan?" Jake asked suspiciously. "This is not a simple scanner," the alien replied. "It is Zarathi technology." Jake tensed at the mention of the Zarathi. They were the most advanced species in the galaxy and had been humanity's greatest enemy during the first contact wars. The conflict had ended in a stalemate 5 years ago, but tensions remained high. "You are Zarathi," Jake said it as a statement, not a question. The alien nodded slowly. "I am, and before you. Reach for your weapon. Let me explain why I am here dressed as a beggar on this forgotten station." Jake realized his hand had indeed moved toward his sidearm. He forced himself to relax. "I am listening." My name is Princess Lyra Veltar of the Zarathi Empire, she said, her voice taking on a more formal tone. I am the youngest daughter of Emperor Zektar, and I have been living among the lower castes of various species for the past year. Jake stared at her in disbelief. A Zarathi princess living as a beggar, why? To understand. Lyra replied, My father believes that all other species are inferior to the Zarathi. He thinks humans are nothing more than violent primitives who got lucky with nuclear technology. And what do you think? Jake asked Lyra, was quiet for a long moment. I think my father is wrong. I have met humans, traders, and pilots on dozens of worlds. I have watched how they treat their families, their friends, and even strangers like me. She gestured toward Jake. You just proved my point. You saw someone in need and helped without knowing who or what I was. That is not the action of a primitive species. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Why are you telling me this, princess? If you are who you say you are, then you could have me arrested or killed for war crimes because I need your help, Lyra said simply. There is going to be another war, Captain Morrison. My father is building a new fleet and planning to attack Earth within the next 6 months. The words hit Jake like a physical blow. How do you know this? Because I was supposed to lead part of the attack, Lyra admitted. I am a trained military commander despite my royal status, but I cannot bring myself to kill innocent humans after everything I have seen. Jake leaned back in his chair, trying to process what he was hearing. What kind of help do you need? I want to defect to the human side, Lyra said. I have information about Zarathi military plans, technology, and weaknesses that could help your people prepare for the coming war, and in exchange, nothing. Lyra replied. I ask for nothing except perhaps a chance to prove that not all Zarathi are your enemies. Jake studied her face, what little he could see of it in the shadow of her hood. How do I know you are telling the truth? This could all be an elaborate trap. Lyra reached up and slowly pulled back her hood. Jake gasped at what he saw. She was beautiful in an alien way, with skin that shimmered like starlight and hair that seemed to move on its own like liquid silver. Her eyes were large and expressive, a deep purple that seemed to hold galaxies within them. But it was not just her appearance that shocked Jake. She was wearing a small device on her forehead that Jake recognized as a neural inhibitor. It was a Zarathi punishment device used to prevent telepathic abilities and cause constant pain. This device marks me as a traitor to my own people, Lyra explained. I put it on myself 3 months ago when I made my decision. The moment I contact any Zarathi ship or base, they will execute me. Jake stared at the device, knowing what it meant. Zarathi were naturally telepathic, and cutting them off from their mental abilities was like blinding a human. The fact that she had done it to herself spoke volumes about her commitment. Why should humans trust you? Jake asked. Your people killed millions of us. Because I am willing to die to prevent more deaths, Lyra replied simply. I have seen enough war and enough suffering. I want peace between our peoples, even if it costs me everything. Jake was quiet for a long time, weighing his options. He could report this to his superiors and let them decide what to do. But he could also see the sincerity in Lyra's eyes and hear the pain in her voice. What exactly do you know about the coming attack? He finally asked. Lyra smiled sadly. Everything. The location of every shipyard, the composition of every fleet, the timetable for the invasion, and most importantly, the location of my father's new superweapon. Superweapon? A device that can destroy entire star systems, Lyra said quietly. He plans to use it on Saul as a demonstration of Zarathi power. Jake felt his blood run cold. The thought of Earth being destroyed was too terrible to contemplate. How long do we have? 6 months, maybe less if his generals convince him to move faster, Lyra replied. But with the information I have, your people could strike first and destroy the weapon before it is completed. Jake made his decision. I will take you to Admiral Kate Williams. She commands the Earth Defense Corps, and she will know what to do with your information. Thank you, Lyra said with genuine relief. I know I am asking you to trust someone who was recently your enemy. but I swear by the stars themselves that I want only peace." Jake stood up and offered his hand again. "Come on, princess. Let's go save both our peoples." As Lyra took his hand, Jake realized that this chance encounter with a seemingly helpless beggar might have just changed the course of galactic history. His grandmother would have been proud that her lesson about kindness had led to something so important. Together they walked toward Jake's ship, ready to begin a journey that would either bring peace to the galaxy or lead them both to their deaths. But for the first time in years, Jake felt hope that maybe the endless cycle of war between humans and aliens could finally be broken. The dirty beggar had indeed shocked the galaxy, just not in the way anyone could have expected.